So how are you
I'm pretty tired, man. I've had a tiring week.
in the stormy weather?
Stormy weather. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Go on, tell us about the storm then.
Well, all it did was I didn't experience that much of it. I got a little bit of wind in my face. I got caught in the rain for a little bit. It did sort of delay my journey and leave me stranded in Brighton for an extra day. Yeah,
Wasn't it
so
dramatic?
it wasn't dramatic. It was quite annoying.
Looking out the window and seeing trees smashing into cars and
Yes, women and
people.
children running for their lives.
Yeah,
old
wasn't it?
old men standing in front of the path of trees to give other people a chance to run. It was
Yeah,
very, very Hollywood.
it wasn't like that.
No, not at all. Not from
What
what
was
I
it
could
like?
see.
What did you experience?
Here's my experience. I didn't even know there was a storm happening until about 10 o'clock the morning of the big storm.
But you was
And
in Brighton.
yeah, I was in Brighton. 10 o'clock in the morning of the big storm. I'm sitting there in the office, walked into the office, and it was short. It was a little bit windy, but, no more windy than any other day by the sea. And then this guy, one of my colleagues, walks in and he says, "Oh, Liban, there's a storm brewing." And I turned to him and I said, "What? Metaphorically or literally? What are you talking about?" And he
Yeah.
says, "Have you not looked at the news today?" He said, "Go on BBC News." And then I see like a massive red warning on the front page of BBC News saying, "Storm Eunice coming in. Everybody stay indoors until 2 o'clock this afternoon." And I was like, "What? When did this all happen?" I had no clue. I was clueless.
But right, because you work in a deep underground secret bunker with no windows, right?
I'm just saying, how am I supposed to know the difference between a regular rainstorm and the storm of the century?
No, no, but wasn't you there when the rain was lashing and the trees were being whipped and all of that?
There was a lot of that happening, but you have to understand it's not happening everywhere. Like a single tree getting ripped 3 miles away from where I'm sitting is not gonna
Yeah.
tell me what to do. It's not gonna be obvious to me, is what I'm trying to say.
And you're in a deep underground bunker with no windows, of course,
Of
completely.
course, I can't talk about my work with the GHCQ and MI5. It's all very top secret.
Yeah. We should probably record some of your thoughts of Brighton because nobody knows you live and work in London, but you spend a lot of time in Brighton
I do. Not all the time, but occasionally.
and you hate Brighton, don't you?
I hate Brighton. It's full of hippies and weirdos and people who think they're interesting but they're not. It's it's basically anybody in the UK. Once they decide what their affectation is going to be, they make a conscious choice and they're like, my affectation is to be the guy who has purple hair. And then he people in his town starts thinking this guy's an attention seeking whore, and people start ostracizing him rightfully. And then he's like, where can I hang out and be myself among other people who are also attention seeking whores? And yeah, they all gather in Brighton.
Don't you think London has its own cabal of attention-seeking horror stuff?
I think
What was what's the
the attention
affectation for
seeking
London?
whores of London, they come by it honestly. Because they're in a big town, you need to stand out. Whereas Brighton, it's a small town, you already stand out. What's the problem? I don't get it.
What's
Get it?
all right? Let me ask you a bit more about this because I'm curious. Obviously, I was born and raised in London as
Holistic
well.
healers, Reiki healers, crystal healing, all the fucking hippy dippy
I like
natural
it.
shit.
I should
Fucking
move there.
Jesus.
I should have moved there.
Bunch of white people with dreadlocks, fucking girls with green hair. Every girl in Brighton, as soon as you get out of the train station, they give you a packet of L'Oreal green dye, and they say you're not allowed to leave the station until you go into the toilets and dye your hair green. And then every woman has to do it. They just have to. They're not allowed out.
Is it
Otherwise,
really all
they
like
have to.
that?
They have to get back on the train and go back to Chichester, because that's the only way you're allowed
Yeah.
out of the station is with green hair. If you're a woman, I think it's quite misogynistic.
Is it really like that?
You
Right then.
you come and
Top
have
to
a
bottom.
you come and have a walk and tell me Tell me what you think, but this is my experience.
Well, my area, I mean, I was born and raised in Hackney, but like on the south side of Hackney, so like bordering Hoxton and Shoreditch, in that area, it always had a large hipster contingent. So I don't know. To me, it doesn't sound too. I mean, not. I prefer that Reiki healing crystals vibe that you're mentioning to
I
the
think,
hipster, try hard, rich kid fucking vibe of
but the thing is,
London.
in London, you've got the intense vibe, right? Those hipster try hard rich kids who get money from mummy and daddy and settle down in
Yeah,
Hoxton, they
yeah.
they conform to the intense vibe that you've got in London, whereas these losers and wretched cretins from Brighton, they combine their hipsterdom and hippiness with the slower paced, oh, we're just chill, we're relaxed, we take it easy, we just take it a day at a time, oh, we're so laid back. That vibe, I hate that vibe. I hate
You
chill
hate the
people.
phoniness,
I hate chill people, full stop. Anybody who ever
really?
describes themselves as chill and laid back is, as far as I'm concerned, the scum of the earth.
Seriously?
Anybody, I've never gotten along with anybody who is self-described as chill.
What's your last experience with someone who said there was chill and laid back?
None.
I've
I
seen meet
avoid
a lot of
them.
women. A lot of women probably say that about themselves, right?
Well, not the women that I meet. Good lord,
Oh, you're in London, that's why.
yeah, if I ever meet a woman who describes herself as chill and laid back, I want nothing to do with her. I want an intensely focused woman who, when she's talking to me, is almost intimidating in how focused she is on the conversation.
Oh, that's very rare. I mean, you won't get people who focus on a conversation these days. That's
Yeah,
very rare.
but that's why I love it. That's why when I come across those people, I'm so fascinated and mesmerized. I lose myself in those people very easily.
Don't you think London is full of phonies though as well?
You get phonies everywhere, but I think it's just what flavor of phony you that rubs you the wrong way. I think the Brighton phonies they rub me, Johnny. They rub me.
Yeah. So you like the affectations that bring people to London then?
It's not that I like them, but they don't upset me. They don't go out. It doesn't aggravate me. I see them and I'm like, all right, I see what you're doing. You just go ahead and do that away from me. But the people in Brighton, I see it and it actively gets on my tits.
Really?
Yeah.
You have to spend a lot of time around people like that when you're
Luckily,
working
no.
and when you
Luckily,
go
no.
there?
The people that I work with are, for the most part, they're not that precious.
Yeah. Is Brighton rich kids as well? And trust fund kids? Is it expensive? It's probably expensive now, right?
It's pretty expensive. I think it's a bit of both. It does have a lot of rich kids, but it also has a lot of people living in pretty shitty conditions so that they can stay there.
Yeah. Living in a tiny little box room in a room share.
Exactly, yeah. But they have the Brighton vibe, and it makes it all worth it.
Oh, well, come on. People do that in London though as
You
well.
know what? I can say that exact same sentence. Let me say that sentence, but replace it with London.
Go
Oh,
on.
they've got the London vibe, but it makes it all
Yeah,
worth it.
the London vibe. Wasn't there an advert? I remember there was an advert with Kate Moss or something.
Yeah.
It was like, get the London look. Get the
Oh,
London look. And I
gross,
thought,
gross.
and for a while, it's probably out of fashion. You used to see girls everywhere, all across Europe. I remember noticing this in airports and stuff. Just T-shirts and bags with like London written on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
mate, the UK is so uncool now. Brexit has made the UK so uncool.
Do you think
Like,
Brexit made it uncool? The UK's
absolutely.
been uncool for fucking 20 years, pretty much.
I'm trying to pinpoint what it was because in 2012, when we had the Olympics, I think London was still cool.
You think so?
I think we still had a bit of international cachet. I'm trying. I don't know, but
I
I
think
think
it
it
still
was.
has internet. I think it still has international cachet. But to me, London has been uncool. I mean, it's uncool. Maybe even when it was growing up in the 90s, but like by the turn of the millennium,
No,
100% was
no.
uncool.
We still had a lot of young Europeans coming in and flooding in and having a nice time. That's all gone away. I think literally Brexit was the time when they sort of as soon as they got the sentiment that the UK didn't want Europeans coming in, that's like that sort of young people coming and spending a few years in London has absolutely gone away.
Well, when I was growing up, I'd meet like young, usually rich kids coming from Europe to London. It was always because they were in love with the history of London anyway, like in the London mythology. Like they loved the history of London music, of the swinging 60s and the punk and the streets that fucking, these great writers have walked,
Yeah,
Jack the
there's a lot there.
Ripper,
There's a lot
fucking all
there.
that shit. That's why they were coming, and that still exists. It still
That
has
still
that.
exists, but that's not quite like when they came here. They used to spend like a year or 2 years living here and exploring it, which they can't do as easily now.
Right, yeah, well, of
And they
course,
used
yeah.
to get all sorts of university grants to sort of pay for them to actually be here. Like the Erasmus program was a huge EU program that sent like European students to come to London and live here for a bit. That's gone. They can't do that anymore.
Is that gone?
Yeah, absolutely.
I went on that, you know that.
Did you? No shit. Go on. Tell me about it.
But that's how I went to Austria.
Oh shit. I thought
Yeah.
you just did that off your own back somehow.
No, I wish I could have done it off my
Mate,
own
tell
back.
me about it. How did you even find out about Erasmus? Because I didn't
Danish
hear.
girl told me. I
I
remember
didn't hear
Danish
about
girl.
that until I was like 30 something.
I didn't. Well, I was desperate to get the fuck out of that place. I don't like London, for the record. Liban loves London.
I think they know this at this point, don't they?
Do they? I don't think they.
Have we
I
not
don't think
declared
they do.
this?
Well, I mean, the fact I don't live there maybe indicates my feelings
Okay,
towards
Johnny
London.
hates London. Liban loves London. He
Yeah.
loves it.
That's why I thought it'd be interesting to talk to you about your love of London, to try and unpeel it for me and try to, you know,
Well, before we
you
get on
know.
that, tell me about how Erasmus was for you when you went to Austria.
I loved it. Had the best. Well, it was a cathartic experience.
And how much time did you get to spend there?
7 months,
7 lovely
and it was
months.
only
Isn't that nice?
it was only 7 months. But I'm trying not to ramble this episode. Also, I don't want to swear anymore. I think I swear too much.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. I think I swear far too much. I want to remove swear words from my vocabulary.
Ah, that's very sweet. In a way, that's very sweet.
Yeah, I want to remove swear words from my vocabulary, and any mean words. If I notice myself using it, because I really do that with words that I find repulsive, like content and consume. 2 words which, if you use together, are fucking apocalyptically disgusting to my
Oh
sensibilities.
man, I can't wait. Next time you ask me, Liban, how do you spend your weekend? I'll just the first thing
Yes,
that's
I know
going to
you
come to
will.
my mind
Yes,
is going to
yes,
be,
I
oh
know.
yeah, I just consumed some content.
Yeah.
I can't help it. Why would
I
you
know
tell me
you will.
this?
I know you
Why
will.
would you tell me this? I don't want to do this to you.
Yeah, I could take it from you. Listen, I could take it from you because I know you're winding me up. It's when I'm living a daily life and people just naturally say stuff like that I fucking cringe and wish I was dead.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're taking swear words out, or you're trying to at least lessen it.
I'm not going to swear anymore. I'm not going to use insulting words. I want to clean up my vocabulary a little bit.
All right.
Because I really think about
I
language.
think I swear more than you, though, don't I?
No. Have you listened to any of the previous episodes? I swear too easily, too casually. I swear a lot at home. I swear.
Okay. All right. Let's
I
see
mean,
how it goes.
I use swear words rhythmically,
They have a nice feeling to them.
Yes, and it adds a rhythm, but then that's why
It's
you can end up
punctuation.
depending on them.
Yeah. All right.
But here's the thing: you remove that, and I think you would be able to express yourself. What words would I use if I didn't have this easy, impactful words? Well, maybe I'd actually engage my brain a bit more and use more expressive words. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. And then but then this is going to become interesting in a way, because then that means that when you do swear, it becomes a bit more powerful because you're adding a bit more meaning to it.
Well, that's another thing, isn't it? Yeah, words change because we overuse them so much.
Anyway, so we were talking about.
But I want to ask you about London. I want to get inside your head.
All right, go for it. Talk
What
to me.
do you immediately think of when you think of London? Like, what instantly? What is there an image that comes to mind? Is there
I think
a
of the
feeling?
streets.
Is there
I think of the
what
streets.
What streets do you think of specifically? Are there any specific ones?
For me, I think it's because I spent a lot of time in Soho professionally and just on nights out. And I've spent a lot of time in Soho over the years. So anytime I think of London, I'm thinking of the side streets in Soho. I'm thinking of
That's an interesting.
I'm thinking of Greek Street. I'm thinking of Frith Street. I'm thinking of Berwick Street. I'm thinking of
Oh, it's an interesting. Yeah. Go
yeah.
on.
For me, it's the side streets of Soho and the little alleys and shortcuts you take to get away from the crowds.
Yeah.
Soho Square and the little park between, like you got a nice little green square between Oxford Street and when you're trying to go south.
That's
It's
the
just
first thing. That's the first thing. Someone says you're talking about something else general. Someone says London, bang, you know. I don't know if your mind works like that, but to me, like an image comes to
yeah. I think of a rainy street in Soho.
You don't think of your own area because when I think of London, I kind of immediately think of my own area. Maybe the context matters as well. You don't think of your own area.
No, because I don't do anything in my area. When I come to my area, I go straight to my house and I spend like all my time inside. And then in my area, I go to the shops, I go buy stuff, I spend a little bit of time in the local park when I need a bit of fresh air. But I don't actually spend that much time here. Anytime I'm spending time hanging out with friends or going for meetings for work or anything, I'm going into central London.
Do you and all right, let's talk about the streets then a bit more. Those back alleys and Greeks around Greek Street, whatever.
Yeah.
How would you describe the vibe? Say someone's never been there, they're interested, they're
Yeah.
saying, or you're writing it in a book, you're trying to describe it, you're trying to build a scene, it's set there. How would you describe that particular area of London? The vibe, the colours, whatever it first comes to mind.
It's a good time. It's pretty lively. There's always something happening. There's a lot of weirdos walking around. It's been, to be fair, over the last
Weirdos?
20 years, it's been cleaned up a lot. There's not as many sleazy little shops. There's a lot less drug dealers walking around asking you if you want anything. So it has been cleaned up a
Wait a
lot.
minute,
It
did you say
does
there's fewer shops?
fewer sleazy shops. There used to be a
Oh,
lot more
right.
sex shops and adult shops and literal whores standing in
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
outside like doors inviting you to come in and have a good time.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Funnily enough, I used to work opposite from a whorehouse, and we used to, in one of our sort of communal areas, we used to have a view out onto the street, and there was a guy that we used to see go up there all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There was a regular. You wouldn't. It's not a daily thing, but at least once a week we would spot this guy go through the red doors, go upstairs, and then come back down about half an hour later. And we always used to think about this guy and just wonder what kind of life he had, where it's like, yeah, just going to a whorehouse was just a regular part of his routine.
Yeah. Well, did you see a lot? You must have seen a lot of people go in and come out, right?
Yeah. They were getting a lot of traffic. I missed that place. That was lovely. I never actually spoke to any of the women who worked there, but I know I saw.
You
I
never
always,
spoke to them. You just paid your cash and left.
Exactly. I don't want to exchange words. I just want this to be a ugly, cold transaction. Here's my
Yeah.
money. Let's get me off.
No talking. That's interesting. And now you think it's cleaned up and
Yeah, it's cleaned up a lot.
for the better or for the worse?
Probably for the. Here's the thing. On the one hand, it's for the better because it's safer now. I think people feel a lot safer, whereas some of those places used to be quite scary streets to walk on if you're, a vulnerable person. But for me, I enjoyed it back then a bit more because it had a bit more character. It was a bit more gritty. It was the possibilities of a night just getting weird were a bit more, possible. It was a bit more fun for me.
Yeah. Well, that's the dichotomy we're living with these days, isn't
But
it?
then there's also part of getting older. Maybe that's still happening somewhere out there, and the young people are just, going out, having these same experiences somewhere else, probably a bit more affordable.
Has your opinion on London in general changed?
I've spent time living in other places like Stockholm and Brighton, and it's just nothing has ever lived up to it or felt the same.
Felt the same in what way? What do you mean? Felt like what? That's it. Breathe into the mic so people know that you're thinking.
It feels dead. It
What
feels
feels dead everywhere except for
everywhere,
London?
everywhere except for London that I've lived. Maybe if I lived in a mega city like New York or Tokyo or Seoul, I would get that same feeling. But when I go to a second-rate city like Brighton or Stockholm, it just feels dead and boring. It feels like the
Yeah.
people. I think it's that again. It's that laid-back thing where people are just drifting through life, not trying to do anything, just getting by. I don't like
Well,
it.
that's actually, I remember now. I wanted to ask you a bit about Sweden because you actually grew up in Sweden, in Stockholm, right?
I did. I did. Well, not
Oh,
Stockholm itself. I actually grew up in a tiny town about 5,000 people, and it was 100 kilometers outside of Stockholm.
oh, how was that?
Yeah, it was idyllic. It was great. Great childhood.
Idyllic.
Yeah,
Nice place to grow up.
absolutely fantastic place.
But then why Stockholm? And then you moved to Stockholm or something?
No, no, that when I got to about 11, 12, that's when my family moved over to the UK, to London.
It's interesting what you just said about Stockholm because it basically fits in with my probably generalized uh, conception of Sweden
Go on.
as a very boring place.
100%. 100%.
I
It's
always
very
think about
boring.
I always think about Sweden like uh, I don't know, maybe because culturally they don't even have that much influence. Like the biggest cultural influence I could think of Sweden is ABBA. And their music is very coldly and practically put together, which just enforces my opinion of Sweden. It's just these guys are particularly good at putting together these like very mechanical, but their songs are brilliant. But you know, again, it's not like
It's built to
an ex.
spec.
Yeah, it's built to spec. It's just a very well crafted songs with a touch of genius. But I think of Sweden as this very boring place where no one does anything except sit indoors all day and fucking.
It is
Is that
very.
correct?
I'd call it parochial.
What does
Parochial is the.
parochial mean to you?
What does parochial mean to? It means sort of
When
like.
I think of parochial, I think of little town and everyone comfortable with the
Yeah,
smallness of their
and
town and
sort
their own
of.
habits and stuff like that.
Exactly, and a bit more family oriented, a bit more slow paced, a bit more of outdoorsy enjoyment. The thing about Stockholm that I found was that I lived there, I think, when I was about 23 or 24, and I
Yeah,
spent a year there, and I found that it was the kind of place where people settled down very early in life. You had
mm,
people who found their partners when they were sort of 18, 19, stuck with them, got married quite early, had kids quite early, and then by the time you're 30 something, everybody has kids that are in their teens.
yeah,
And the kind of lifestyle you have is that you go to work, you you,
yes,
you come back, you spend a bit of time with your family, you do
yes,
your things, and then on the weekend, everybody has one little club that they belong to, a little hiking club, a little
yeah.
arts club, a just some sort of outdoorsy and healthy club that people join for to have a bit of socializing and to also get moving about a little bit so that they can stay physically healthy. It's all very neutral, very
Orderly.
orderly, civilized, and just empty of life and excitement and chemistry.
And people never yearn for anything more there. It's not frustrating for
No,
them.
because they like it. They like the slow pace. They like the.
Why do Swedish people like it? What is different about Swedish people?
Well, it comes down to the climate, doesn't it? It comes down to what you can actually.
You put on the climate.
I think the climate's going to affect your culture, isn't it? I'm sure there's loads of articles talking about climate and culture, but if you live in that kind of cold climate where half the year you're in darkness, where it gets from about November until March, where the only sunlight you get is between 8 a.m. and 2 in the afternoon, everybody's gonna come home early and just spend their time indoors.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there like cold? See, I always thought as well, like, I mean, I don't want to talk about politics on a podcast, but I always thought it was kind of ridiculous when like other countries, like Americans or whatever, would say, why can't we be like Sweden with all their politics and stuff like that? And I think you can't really in America, because Sweden's clearly a boring country where everyone's just got low ambitions and can contently move through life into death and just fucking slumber along. Whereas America's this turbulent place where all these different kinds of people have these different kinds of lifestyles, and they're, like it makes sense to me that that kind of politics works here and it doesn't work over here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
The people of Sweden are very homogenous. They're all very similar to each other.
yeah. I mean, I just go by cultural contributions. It's fine. Judging by the cultural contributions of Sweden, I built up this whole stereotype of what a country is. But then again, like, all right, it's cold. It's, whatever. Can you say the same thing about England and Britain, a country which has a vast number of cultural contributions and doesn't seem like a sleepy, content little place?
Yeah, but that comes from London, and that's driven by London.
No, it doesn't.
Absolutely it is, and it's also driven by the fact that we're historically in the middle of like a trade empire where we've got our external influences constantly changing our direction and giving us new impulses and new things to consider.
Maybe the empire is a part there. It's not just from London. Come on now.
It's driven by London.
It's absolutely not. Like musically, the Beatles aren't from London.
Okay. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just need to prop up London because I know you're going to slag them off as much as you can.
Yeah, no, I want to slag London off. People, it takes all sorts, and that's what you want. That's what you want, isn't it? It's nice that people like different things, isn't it?
Yeah. We can't all like, sleepy places in countries that can't be spoken of due to operational security.
Yeah, basically.
Is any of this worth keeping? We've been chatting for about 15 minutes. Was any of this interesting?
Yeah, we're peeling apart the layers of Liban.
Okay.
That should be a podcast title. I did read an article where it said one of the key things for why people would listen to a podcast is the podcast title. Not the name of the podcast, but the episode titles.
So we call this one peeling back the layers of Liban.
The layers of Liban, yeah.
Because Liban has been listening, but who is this Liban? Who is it? What's he about?
Yeah. Why don't you want to shift the topic then?
No. Let's keep at it. Let's find the core of some truths and let's.
But I think you said everything you're willing to say about London, Sweden.
You've got to put the Spanish Inquisition on me. You've got to be. What's that guy? Frost Nixon. You've got to be Frost and get to the truth.
I never saw Frost Nixon. Isn't David Frost like? I wonder about it because he's like a doddering old idiot, isn't he? Every time I've seen David Frost, he was doing that show when I was a kid.
He's long dead. He's long dead, isn't he?
Yeah, he's long dead, but he was doing that show still. Probably in the 90s or whatever.
All right, be Jeremy Paxton. Be.
I hate that cat. I hate Jeremy Paxton.
He is the worst. He's the absolute worst.
It's so ridiculous. People are like, Jeremy Paxton, he's such a good... He puts politicians on the spot. And he's like, he just talks over them. He interrupts them. I swear that winds me up more than anything. Nothing would prompt me more quickly to violence than someone who keeps talking over me.
The funny thing is, one of the things I hate the most about Jeremy Paxton is that...
Paxman, not Paxton.
What did I say? Have I been saying Paxton the whole time?
I don't know. You said Paxton then.
Anyway, Paxman. One of the things I hate the most about him is the fact that he's the host of University Challenge. And he reads out all these questions from the cards, right? And then the kids from the universities come out and they give the answers. A lot of the time, when they give the wrong answer, he's got this look on his face as if he's disgusted by their ignorance. And the thing is, he only knows the answer because he's got it on a card in his fucking hands. So where does he get off? Where does he get off acting so smug and arrogant from? That's what I've never understood. Yeah,
that's his whole routine now. That's his whole routine. which is terrible.
He's literally got the answers on a card in front of him, Johnny. I don't get it. He doesn't know these things.
Do you think it reflects something in the British psyche? I mean, I'm always wary because, like, you see people get successful in Britain, and there's a part of you think, why do people like this? What about? But then you realise he's just foisted on people by the BBC, and he has been for 60 years. You know,
Yeah.
he's probably part of some sex ring or something.
I wouldn't be surprised. Would not be surprised.
Yeah.
It's all sex rings. Now, the real question is, how do we get into these sex rings? Because clearly, if we want to be successful as a podcast, we need to find a sex ring and get involved.
Well, these aren't like fun sex rings. The band is all right.
No? I thought...
It's disgusting sex rings. Jimmy Savile. You want to do one next to Jimmy
not the
Savile
children's ones. No, not the children's ones. I was talking about the ones with adults who go to secret parties where you wear masks and it's kind of like Illuminati and they have like triangles and pictures of eyes and stuff. I'm not talking about the ones where they pass around children.
Ben, you don't want to be a part of that. Trust me. You don't want to be a part of that. Don't sell your soul. Come on.
I haven't got a soul. Souls don't exist, Johnny.
Why are you winding me up? Why are you winding me up?
Sorry. That'll take us down a whole track we don't need to go. Sorry.
Exactly. I said that with a swear.
Okay. No swearing from you. No swearing.
Yeah. What was I going to say? No, I am interested in why people like London. Because to me, I don't know. I struggle to find anything to like about place. I mean, you get little pockets of things that are nice. You know, little pockets of things, and I guess if you want to be on the scene and have stuff happening, it's, I don't know. To me, I'll tell you one thing I disliked about London is everything that seemed nice aesthetically about it, like the architecture, this old architecture. It's quite nice. It's aged, you know, it's very nice. And then they just slap all these like corporate logos all everywhere. And London has this very corporate look to it now. It literally looks like it looks like the inside of a modern office building on the outside. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Here's a question for you. Have you ever seen like a movie that represented London in a way that felt kind of honest to you?
Never. Not once.
Never?
Never.
Whenever they do a movie in London, they always have guys in suits.
Because anytime you've got any expression of London in a movie, it's rich London. It's one of two things. It's either rich London, where you've got millionaires who live in Chelsea and Kensington, or live in high rises somewhere that I couldn't even tell you where these high rises are, but somehow they're in luxury flats that can see all of London, and the characters live in this high level world that I've never even seen. Or alternatively, it's a fantastically gritty London that's so gritty that 11-year-old kids will come up to you and stab your stomach and then take your wallet. That you've got the low end that is, you know, I'm sure it exists, but I've seen like some, you know, I've been in shitty parts. I've lived in shitty parts of London all my life. Never seen anything quite like that. So it's always these things that aren't true to life.
Yeah, you see a lot of representations from the past where maybe it looks appealing, and you think, oh, you don't know if that was honest. I think one movie I saw, you know, Children of Men, the movie.
Yes.
I thought that one looked a bit more like London in a kind of familiar way. I think it used natural light and it's very dark. It's kind of grim. It always looks like it's about to rain, you know? And I thought, that's kind of like London. It's like, you know.
I know what you mean. But at the same time, it was meant to be science fiction, so it was always a step removed from us anyway.
Oh, yeah, it descends into like something else in the countryside and all that crap. But, you know. Anyway, all right, let's move on from London. Liban, maybe you should tell the story of when we played the game the other day.
What game? I genuinely can't remember. What game are we talking
Sea
about?
of Thieves.
Oh, bloody hell!
Go on, give us the whole story, play by play.
I've blocked that out of my memory because it was so bad. So, Johnny and me and our third friend, the third friend of our group, have been having this thing recently where we've been playing co-op games together. We've been playing multiplayer games where all three of us are on the same side, trying to accomplish things and, have a bit of fun, have a bit of chit-chat. And one of the ones that we tried was a game called Sea of Thieves. All three of us installed it. All three of us got ourselves ready. It was a Saturday evening. We've cleared out some time. Everybody's girlfriends were busy doing other things, so we've now got time for just the three of us to have like a good 4 or 5 hour session of just having a fantastic time. We start playing together, and within...
Maybe describe the game a bit.
So the game is basically, we each get a character where we're a pirate, and then we get a ship together, and then we sail around the Caribbean doing little quests and working together to rob other people and get treasure and loot. And theoretically it's pretty fun.
And sailing is like somewhat complex. Like you man the sails, you steer, you navigate, you have cannons, all the rest.
You lower the mast, you raise the mast, you lower the anchor, you raise the anchor to slow down, whatever. There's a lot of mechanics involved, and you work as a team to get the ship moving, and it feels good to get it right.
Yeah.
We start playing, and after about half an hour, I start feeling queasy. But I don't really say anything because I'm like, I start to think, oh, maybe I'm just, I haven't had enough water. I'm, the light from the, laptop is getting in my eyes and giving me a headache, whatever. I'm just ignoring it, powering through, continuing play. I don't say anything to the dudes. And then after about 45 minutes, they start to notice that I'm not doing anything. My character is standing completely still, while Johnny and Amos's character are literally jumping around, swimming, fighting sharks, getting things. And my character is standing on the ship, still, doing absolutely nothing. And what was your reaction, Johnny? At that point, did you even notice that I wasn't doing anything?
I was literally, because I was having a great old time. Like, I think that game is fun for about a couple of hours only. But what makes it fun is that the water is so realistic, the way the boat bobs on the water. So we were like in the middle of the ocean, and there's like the shipwreck that's like hanging just off under the water. Me and Amos were jumping in the water, going into the ship and pulling out these chests and then swimming back. And I was just having a great old time. And then I was like, I had no idea really what Liban was doing. And I think I noticed first. I was asking you like.
Yeah, I basically got seasick, man. I got seasick playing a fucking video game. After about an hour of playing, my stomach was so upset. I was full of nausea. My head was hurting. My eyes were hurting. I genuinely felt like I was going to vomit. I started to tell the guys, I'm not sure about this game. I know you guys seem to be really enjoying it, but I hate this and I feel horrible right now. But I was like, do you know what? Let me try to power through and let's play a bit more. Maybe this will go away. And that was the biggest mistake I made for that entire weekend, was trying to power through when what I should have done was just to call it there. But out of consideration, out of respect, out of respect for the time and the sacrifice that my friends had made to make themselves available for this session, I kept going. And you know what? That's my fault for being too good of a person.
Yeah, too good of a person. But the thing is, Amos said he got nauseous as well a bit. Just a bit, though. And then also, have you never got like nauseous playing any other kind of game?
Not really, no.
Like a game where there's like a movement or something, maybe a character like, I don't know.
No, that's not happened.
First person games where you're jumping around and shit like that. You never get nauseous.
No, that's not happened to me before.
Is this the first time it's ever happened to you in a video game?
Yeah, and it was horrifying. And I turned off the video game. I didn't even say goodbye to Johnny and Amos. I didn't even try to plan our next hang out. In the middle of the game, I was like, guys, I can't do this. I'm out. I closed the laptop, turned everything off. I went into my room, turned off the lights, and I lay on my bed flat for about 2 hours trying not to vomit.
Do you remember in an earlier podcast you
It was
said you hate
horrible.
this?
It's fucking
You,
horrible.
you said you hate the smell of the sea,
Hmm.
and I completely understand why. He's a real landlubber. Would you call yourself a landlubber?
I'm 100% a landlubber. I love me the land. Love it. I love it.
That's weird, though. But we should talk a bit about gaming, don't you think? I thought it'd be interesting.
Yeah, go for it. Let's do it.
We play some good games. But I'm interested in you because you're not that into gaming. You're on and off into gaming, you know?
I think the way to summarize it is that I like the idea of gaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
The idea of gaming. The idea of
Yeah.
sitting there and having a fun time, controlling a character, doing fun things. I like the idea of it. And
Top
then-
3 video games, go.
No idea, no idea, no idea.
Oh, come on.
I
You
don't
gave
know.
me top 3 video games before when we was chatting. playing
Basically,
Rocket
I
League.
think the ones that I like the most are RPGs from when I was
Yeah.
a kid.
And you love JRPGs.
Knights of the Old Republic, Final Fantasy VIII. Those BioWare games I quite like Neverwinter Nights. I think those old school RPGs are the ones that I enjoyed.
Did you play Final Fantasy VIII to completion?
No, I think I had like, this is gonna take you right back. I had 4 discs. I had
four discs. Yeah.
4 discs. The 3 of them were working. The 4th disc on that game was scratched up, and I couldn't get it working.
Fucking hell.
So I never
would-
actually completed Final Fantasy VIII.
That's very unlucky. Well, that's something we could say for the Twitch streaming if we did Twitch streaming then, isn't it?
You what? Just somehow managed to recreate the 4th CD? Because I'm not replaying through the first 3 CDs.
You can do that these days. You can get download a game save, start wherever the fuck you want. You know?
Alright, yeah. Save it for the Twitch stream. For the
you-
Patreon subscribers, patreon.com
But no,
/
Twitch stream is
Liban Is Listening.
Twitch streams for everything. Listen, if you put something in the start of this show, you should also put in a call for submissions. Like if people making music or whatever.
I remember.
Was you really into the story of Final Fantasy VIII? Did you imagine yourself as that schoolboy with the teacher? What was the story? It was like a schoolboy and a teacher. Did you lose yourself in a fantasy world, Liban?
Absolutely. I was raising the pets. I think I remember having a pet in the game.
A little chocobo.
How do you remember that it was called a chocobo? Wow.
Mate, I'm a gamer, or a pro gamer.
Yeah, I had the chocobo. I was going around getting, special moves and equipment, and it was. I think I was about 14. No, how old was I? I can't remember how old. Early teens. I was in my early teens, and I was having a great time with it.
And the love interests. You like the love interests in RPGs, don't you, Liban?
No, why? Why?
Why not?
I-
Isn't that a love story? Final Fantasy VIII is literally a love story, isn't it?
It does have a love story, but I don't think
got
that
the
was the
blonde
bit that I
girl.
liked.
Don't be ashamed.
Listen, okay.
Don't be ashamed.
What I do.
You were 14. You were
What I
discovering
What I
yourself.
do in the privacy of my room when I was 14, yeah, playing a game like Final Fantasy VIII, is between nobody except me and the girl from the game. That's our private history. You don't need to get into that.
I think there were 2 girls. There's the blonde girl and there was some other girl. I'm sorry, I don't know.
We might have had a love triangle, sure,
Yeah.
but that's ancient history now. We don't need to get into that.
Yeah. What else did you like playing as a kid? Did you have a console as a kid?
I had a Super Nintendo.
Oh, very early on.
Yeah, I had a Super Nintendo in the 90s, and then after that, I was a PC gamer. I never.
What
got
did you have on Super Nintendo? What games did you love on there?
Mario Kart, Super Mario World. I think it was Super Mario World. I had Secret of Mana.
Oh, did you like that?
And
So
I
I think
had
that came
Chrono
back.
Trigger as well.
That's a brilliant game, Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, I think Chrono Trigger was my favorite game when I was a kid.
Yeah, Chrono Trigger, they call it like often the best JRPG. Because it's quite tight. A lot of those JRPGs, they have so much grinding and shit like that.
No, that one I remember just constantly progressing and
Yeah, exactly.
the story constantly moving forward.
Yeah.
That was quite fun.
Famous soundtrack was sampled a lot in a lot of like rap tunes as well. Right?
I could easily see that.
Yeah, the soundtrack was brilliant on that. What different worlds you ended up going into. I think when you say you like the idea of gaming, I kind of understand what you mean by that.
What do
Because,
you understand from that? What do you take away?
well, I take away this, right? Because I've always been like, even when I don't really play games, I've been on games sometimes and I go off games throughout my life. But it's always been interesting because it's like a medium that I've grown up with and I've watched it develop. And it's always been kind of exciting because of that, you know? Like, oh, this thing, it's like our thing, in the way that like rock and roll was like a 50s and 60s kid thing. Like, oh, I'm watching the development of this new
Yeah,
art
that's
form.
always going to mean something to the kids who grew up in that generation.
Yeah. And like with video games, you've watched it, like, even in the past 10 years, it's like, I wouldn't say improved, it's changed a lot, you know.
Evolved. It keeps evolving in weird and different ways.
Yeah, and the technical, yeah, there's a lot of change and stuff. So I don't know. That's what I mean when I think like the idea of gaming. Is that what you meant? Right?
Yeah, but also the experience itself is more, I think, what I was aiming towards, where I like the idea of getting lost in a game and having hours and hours of just fun. But I don't know if it's my attention span or my interest, but I find it harder to lose myself in a game these days.
Well, perfect example of that. You like the idea of gaming. You were one of the first people to rush out and get the PS5, and everyone was fighting over him, and Liban had defeated all of them.
I didn't. It was completely by accident. I literally everyone in this was last December. Do you know what? It's over a year since it's been out, and people are still struggling to get it.
Are they still struggling?
There are people are genuinely
Oh,
still struggling to get it. I got it within 2 weeks of its release, completely by accident, because I looked on a couple of websites, I couldn't find it, so I was like, "Fuck it, I give up. I'm not gonna get one. That's just £500 I've saved. Not a problem."
yeah,
Unfortunately, I told a friend of mine of my desire to get a PS5. So
yeah,
when he went to a toy shop to get something for Christmas for his nephew, he saw two PS5s on the shelf, and
yeah.
he sent me a text message on the spot, and he said, "Liban, I'm gonna get one of these ones. Do you want the other one?" And I texted him back a single word reply, "Yes."
Yes.
And
As such, a gamer was born.
the universe just gave it to me. I didn't want it. I gave
That's
up
true.
on
That's
it.
very
But when
lucky.
you give up on something, the universe might just give it to you.
That's true, actually. That's true about a lot of things in life. It happens when you're not looking for it.
Yeah, that's why I've given up on love. That's what I'm saying. I've given up on love so
You
that
should give up
I
on
can
love.
give the universe a chance to send it my way.
That will absolutely happen. That will absolutely happen when you give. Have you given up on love?
Smash cut. 20 years later, Liban alone in a single bedsit flat in London, North London, wondering where did my time go?
It reminds me of the Rick James song, "Give Up on Love." Beautiful tune.
I don't
But
think I've
you've
heard
given.
that one.
You should check it. I think I've sent it to you. So if you haven't heard it, that's just
Would I
indicative of you.
recognize it if I heard it? It's maybe so I just don't know. I'm not good with song names. You know this. Why are you bullying me?
Yeah, yeah. But have you really given up on love?
I think I've given up on it for now. I think it's just, I'm tired, Johnny. It's
I get
tiring.
it.
I'm out
I get
here.
it, man. I
I'm tired.
sympathise.
I'm fatigued. I've been through the wars. I've got my scars.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got the tattoos. I've got, I've seen
What? But
things. I've come out. I've come back from the jungles, and my eyes are, they're not bright-eyed and bushy anymore. They've seen things.
yeah, the same things.
They felt things. You know what's interesting? Um, this guy that I work with, he was in a
Yeah,
great mood all day long. He's in a
yeah,
fantastic mood.
yeah,
Having jokes and laughs the whole day. And then it gets towards the end of the day, and unfortunately, in the industry that I work in, sometimes you have to do overtime, which you can't avoid.
yeah,
That you weren't expecting. Unplanned overtime when situations go a bit sideways and you have to spend an extra hour or an extra 2 hours
yeah,
at work to make something happen because
yeah,
there's a
yeah, yeah,
tight deadline you got to follow through, and it's out of your control. It's not like you chose for this to happen, but shit happens, shit goes sideways. He has to do a couple of hours of overtime,
yeah,
and he calls his girlfriend to let her know that he's going to be late for dinner, and she just gives it to him, man.
Really?
She gives it to him.
You
And
heard this?
no. All I can see is his body language completely changing. He's on a phone call, and he just, I don't know what she said to him or how
What
she
day was
said
this
it.
on?
This was 2 days ago, Friday.
So maybe she had plans to like go somewhere with him or something.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But she gave it to him, and he came back, and he was just destroyed. He was like, all the joy had left his body. His
Yeah.
entire vibe had completely gone down, and the thing is, it was out of his control. Like, I don't know what he could have done, but yeah. So that's one of those things where I look at him and I think that's something that I don't miss. Is the one thing I don't miss is someone having that much power and control over how I feel.
Yeah.
Although maybe if I
You,
was in his position, I wouldn't give a shit. I probably would be like, you know what, go fuck yourself. But that's also comes from having been single for so long, where in a relationship you do have to compromise and give a shit about other people's feelings. When you're single for so long, there comes a point where you're like, I'm sorry, you can't make me feel shit for something that's out of my control. Go fuck yourself. I'm gonna go do my job. I'll see you later.
yeah, well, you know,
But
the
I felt
grass
really
is always
sorry for him.
greener.
I felt really sorry
Yeah.
for him. That was
Yeah.
not nice to see.
It's one of those things, man. That's just something, you know. I mean, you know, you have your independence, and it's not hard as like someone in a relationship. Sometimes you look at people who are single, you think, fucking hell, man, all the things you can do. If you wanted to, you could literally just buy a ticket to Peru, go to Peru, spend a day walking around Peru, and then come back. You can't do that. There's a whole world of possibilities that shut for you when you have a
Well,
relationship.
you tell yourself you can't do that, but you can do that if you accept the consequences.
Well, yeah, bit of that. Wait a minute, yeah. No, you can't do that. You can't do that.
You
Your
can
partner
do
would say
that. You
that's
can do
deeply.
that.
No, you can't do
You
that.
can
See,
do
oh
that.
man, you don't. Oh God,
You
when you
can
get a
do that. Just
relationship,
accept the
man,
consequences. Just accept the consequences.
the consequences are you're not in a relationship anymore. There you go. You want to act like you're single, you will end up single. That's how
Yeah,
it works.
that's true. That's true.
But you could do that, Liban. You could
I
do that.
could. I could. I do very much value my free time. I respect it. I'm not ignorant to the fact that there's huge advantages to being single.
Yeah, you got free time, a lot of free time. You're only responsible for yourself. That's a huge thing, man.
All the independence in the world.
No responsibilities.
God, that feels pretty damn good.
But yeah. So enjoy it while you can, because some lady will ensnare you eventually, Liban.
Yeah. Well, I'm out here waiting to get ensnared. Yeah, go
What
on.
percentage? What percentage chance do you think there is that you meet a woman via this podcast? Honest
Oh,
answer.
I wouldn't want to meet. Oh God, I wouldn't want to meet. I wouldn't want to meet one of our listeners. They're fucking weirdos. Half of them are going to be conspiracy freaks who listen so that they can hear what you've got to say.
Well, they're not going to be interested in you, are they? They're going to be interested in coming for me.
Yeah, but what if? Here's the thing. What if one of the conspiracy weirdos is a woman and she's here to hear about your conspiracies? But over time, she's exposed to me, and familiarity breeds contempt, which then breeds, a little bit of interest, and before you know it, she's in love with me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get with a
So what?
conspiracy weirdo.
What if she's beautiful and kind and lovely and
Yeah, but then I'm gonna have to sit here and listen to her talking about,
you
the
don't.
new world order and lizards and.
No, you
I ain't
don't.
got time
We
for that.
look. The conspiracy community. We learned our lesson. We keep it on the down low. We just communicate via secret
You do
gestures now.
not. You do not. You're all over the news these days. The days of your people being undercover are
No,
gone. You guys are
no,
going on CNN. You're going on BBC. You're making a
no.
nuisance of your. You're everywhere, man.
There's a lot of
People are.
charlatans. Nah, there's a lot of charlatans pretending to speak. But we're here. We're here working in the back, hiding ourselves. You know, the real. the real ones.
All right.
You know.
Well, we'll see.
So what if a woman is listening to you and finds you genuinely funny on the podcast, and then she's like, "Oh, this guy sounds nice," and he's single, and she sees a picture of you because you probably put a picture of you out somewhere,
Yeah, my
and she's
narcissism
like,
means that I will be plastering my face all over this podcast.
"Yeah, I don't know how you could do it, but okay, do that," and then she sees it, and she's like, "This guy's really nice, and he's funny, and he's in London. Well, I'm in London, and got a job, and all this stuff." And she reaches out to you via an email, said, "Look, I know this is strange, Liban, but you sound really funny on the podcast, like a really nice guy. Do you want to go for a few drinks in London?"
And you sound like you'd be an amazing lover. At
Yeah,
times passionate, at
yeah.
times very gentle.
Would you take him up on that offer?
I don't know. I think I'd be a bit freaked out. I'd be.
That's a yes. That's a yes.
Is that a yes or
Otherwise,
is it?
so message in if you want to date with Liban.
No, please don't. Please don't.
Please message in if you want to date with Liban.
I'm cutting all of this out, bro. I don't know.
Why would you cut this out?
I don't want emails. He's freaking
You
me
can't
out,
be
man.
cutting out stuff. You can't be cutting out stuff that is no. Let people message in. Who knows what happens? This could be magical. This could be incredible.
Oh,
It could be funny. It could just be very funny. Right?
Is this what you've been plotting the whole time? Is the whole reason you got us doing this
No.
podcast so
No.
that you
Yeah.
could do the weird little experiment where you pimp me out to listeners?
Liban is available for dates. He will even pay for some of them.
Oh God.
And I think that'd be great. I think that'd be great. Look, let's not pretend that you wouldn't take a beautiful woman up on an offer for drinks. Come on now. Let's not pretend.
I am pretty shallow. I'm famously shallow.
Exactly. No, you're not shallow. You're not shallow at all. See, this is another thing that's brilliant about him. So write in, ladies.
I'm so fucking freaked out right now. Because obviously it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But just picturing
What do you mean it's not going to happen?
freaking me out a bit.
What do you mean it's not going to happen?
We're going to have 50 listeners at most, and they're going to be spread out all over the world.
No. But we'll probably have a few listeners in London because this is quite a London-centric podcast, And, a lot of people are in London now. And London is an international city. Maybe. How about this? There's a Brazilian woman. She heard you in Brazil. She loves the way you sound in Brazil.
Oh,
But she's visiting London next summer, but only for 5 days. And she wants to spend one of those days with you, Liban.
This is so weird. Why are you doing
What's weird
this?
about it? What
This
are you
is so
talking about?
weird.
What is weird about this? What is weird about this?
This is so weird. I don't know why am I'm acting weird now.
This is interesting, Liban. This
Okay,
is interesting.
all right,
I
go
also
ahead.
had my soundboard with the therapist chair because I would be hitting that button.
I've got
I would be
goosebumps.
punching that button right now.
I'm cringing upon. I'm entering a black hole.
Why? No. Why? What is it? What about this is making you feel weird? Because I'm getting shades of I won't go up that tree again.
I won't go up that tree. I
What
won't
is
go
making?
up
What is
that tree.
What is about? What is it? What is about this making you feel weird, Liban?
I think there's a power imbalance. I think maybe that might be what it is. I think
What
if
is a power
somebody
imbalance?
if somebody is listening to this, and
Yeah.
this is what 6-7 episodes in, they know a hell of a lot about me. They know so much
Right.
about me, and I know
Right.
nothing about them. I'm immediately at a loss, and I've got so much catching up to do. So
Isn't it? You don't find that exciting?
No, I want to be on an equal footing.
Well, in a way, you could say that's an uneven footing in your favour
How so?
because because they already know who you are and they like you. So you know already that they like you somewhat. You can feel relaxed. You could be like, yeah, I'm not showing this person who I am. I don't have to put a show on. I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to be careful of every gesture in case they might read to it. They know kind of who I am. Whereas this person is the one who's going to have to show themselves to me. So it's a power balance in your favour in one sense, isn't it?
Do you think so?
You don't think so at all?
I don't know. I just think about it in terms of operational security.
All right, but when you're dating, operational security goes out the window.
See? Where's the conspiracy guy now, Johnny? Where's the conspiracy guy who adheres to the protocol at all times?
Listen, in love, I mean, look, you listen. You just have to. In love. There's no such thing as operational security.
And you know what?
That's the name of my new upcoming song.
Thank you. That's too good of a line not to use in some context. In love, there is no operational security. Could that be the name of this episode? You know, we were talking about how episodes are going to have good names.
Let's just make it the episode. Let's just throw all the names out randomly. Don't relevant to anything in the fucking show. I don't know. I think that'd be lovely if you met a listener from the show. It's interesting though. Are you averse to romance?
No, I love romance. I fucking love romance.
What's your idea of romance?
But this feels artificial.
What's your idea of romance? What's forced about it?
You know, we're on a podcast. We're supposed to have a relationship with the audience where we're sort of, you know, just a voice in the background of the noise of their lives. If we suddenly start... And sure, they interact with us in emails and they send us questions and answers.
Yeah.
If we suddenly start having groupie sex with our listeners, it's just going to make it a weird situation. It's just going to get very... And let's be fair, our only listener is Amos. So you're basically saying I should get Amos and get him to come to London and make sweet, sweet love to Amos. No,
that's just exactly what I'm saying.
I think that's what you're leading towards, and I'm sorry, Amos, if you're listening to this, but I'm not interested in you.
But you know, if you were like a famous musician, everyone's heard of you. I mean, practically everyone you date is going to know you on some level or something, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
Like you know, and that's who you are. You know, you have to start thinking about yourself, Liban.
Oh, God.
You're like Kanye West now. Everyone you meet is going to know who you are. It's the guy from the podcast, isn't it? It's the guy from the, you know, that's the guy who got sick. This is
an aspect of fame I hadn't considered.
Exactly. They know you, and you're an open book. You didn't even consider this.
I didn't. I genuinely didn't. Because up to this point, before we started the podcast, my whole life, I always knew that if somebody liked me, they must genuinely like me, because you know, who am I, right? But now suddenly there's this whole aspect of it: is do they like me or do they like who I portray on this podcast?
You portraying someone?
Absolutely. This isn't me. Like I don't even talk like this. This is not even my accent. This is some character I fabricated for this show.
Yes, good Lord. Yeah. Okay, I find it fascinating. I'm just going to say I find it fascinating your aversion to romance.
Listen, I love romance. I love the feeling.
What's your idea? The feeling. It's not a feeling. Sometimes you've got to make the romance happen now, isn't it? Surely?
Sure.
Yes?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. But what's romantic about someone emailing? Like, if anything, is this not what we were talking about with digital convenience a few weeks ago? Like, this is about as convenient as it gets to have your fans, your people who listen to you, email you, and then just go through them and pick one out, and then that's...
Saying that's going to happen.
Come on
I'm not saying that's going to happen. That you're going to go through and pick them. But what if someone messages you and says something very sweet about you, and you're like, oh, actually, she looks pretty fit in her pictures. I'm going to go... Oh God!
Oh, that's hilarious. She said something very sweet, and I'm like, "Yeah, she looks fit in that picture."
Interesting. I find it fascinating, Liban. I find it fascinating. Green flags. Do you have any green flags?
Yeah.
You had one earlier.
Anybody who sort of, you know, is up for a laugh and laughs openly. I like people who laugh openly, who are generous with their laughter.
Generous with their laughter.
That's a green flag, big flag.
Do you hear that, ladies?
Oh, so you're trying to give? Are you trying to coach? You're trying to coach our audience now. Do you hear that, Amos? This is how you have to present yourself to me from now on.
No, go on. What else? I'm curious.
What else is there? What else is a green flag?
Do you have a type physically in women? Or are you open to anything?
I think I'm open to anything, but when I look at the people I've actually gotten close to, they tend to be short people.
Short people.
Yeah, I think I like short
Any,
asses.
and distinctive, anything distinctive? Do you like a certain fashion sense?
No, not that fussed about fashion.
No. Okay. Very open-minded, Liban.
What can I say? It's
I
a.
bet you've dated a lot of broad range of them.
I think that probably makes it harder, if anything, because if
Really?
you had a narrow selection of what you like, you'd probably make more of an effort to get out there and find your little niche. Whereas I think I'm probably too open, where I'm like, I could probably get along and be attracted to most women.
I think it's pretty. I bet you never know. You never know. You might find a woman who doesn't, who you wouldn't even say is your type, and then she has all these different qualities that it takes you a little bit to discover. Have you dated a lot of boring British women?
Funnily enough, no. I think I tend to mostly date foreigners.
And they tend to be boring.
Let me rephrase that. The people I've had more than one date with tend to be foreigners.
Right. And the British women are very boring.
Yes. Not all of them. Not all of them. Don't come for me, British women. But
They're boring. Why are they boring? Are they too obsessed with their work, right?
listen, I don't know what it is, but I just don't find them that interesting.
You need to start getting us some dates so you can
But
give
the
us some
thing,
stories on
I
this
think,
podcast.
what makes it difficult to talk about in this context is who the fuck are you, like me making any statement about my preferences or going this way or that way. It's immediately raises the question: who the fuck are you to judge anyone?
What are you talking about?
I feel arrogant.
I
I
don't
feel
understand what you're
arrogant.
saying
I
there.
feel arrogant. Do you
You
not get
feel
what I'm saying?
arrogant having preferences for who you're going to spend the rest of your life with?
No,
What?
I feel arrogant coming on a podcast and saying I don't enjoy dates with British women. What I feel like I don't know, how do I phrase this? What do I say?
Mate,
Help me out
mate,
here. Help me.
mate, you passed that bridge a long time ago. You passed the bridge of arrogance the second you decided to record yourself having a fucking conversation in your bedroom and charge people money for it. You passed the bridge of arrogance.
The bridge
You're
of...
deep into the jungles of arrogance right now.
Oh, how did I not realize? How did I
You're in
not
the
realize?
heart of you're in the heart of
I
the
thought I was still
Congolese jungles of arrogance is
I
what you
thought I
really
was
are.
still in the beaches of humility.
No, of course, we have to pretend that we're humble people. We just so happen to trip upon the idea of doing a podcast and are we charging money? Oh, I didn't even know we're charging money for this. Yeah,
Oh,
of
is
course you
this
have to
your money?
pretend.
Is this your money? Oh, I'm so sorry.
You see a whole fucking. That's why I actually get very pissed off about people who don't talk about money, because like a lot of those podcasters make a lot of money. They go on the podcast and they're like just pretending they're lazing about and telling everyday stories. Like, mate, I can see how much fucking money you're making. I know you're not an average person. I can see how much money you're making for just fucking farting for 2 hours every week. Don't pretend you fucking live a normal life. Do you have enough money to hire a fucking team of servants? You can't.
Okay.
Correct.
So I've crossed the bridge of arrogance. I'm in the jungle of
I'm
arrogance.
swearing. Stop me swearing, Liban, please.
Do you really want me to?
Yeah, I want to clean swearing up from my vocabulary.
Okay, all right. We'll do that. We'll help you. We'll make that happen.
Yeah. It's a journey that the listeners can join in. And message me if you heard me swear this podcast, and you want to point it out to me, and I will send you a personal apology. Personal apology for every time I swear on this podcast.
Oh, don't promise that. You're going to lose your entire life to this.
I promise you.
Oh, that's
No, I don't like to make promises. I don't like to even say. See, I take words seriously, man. If I say I promise something, I genuinely will do everything in my power to do it. So I don't even like to say I promise. My girlfriend knows that. When I'm playing around with her, it's like, "You gonna do this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Did you promise?" And I'm like, "I'll do it. Relax." Because I don't even like to say the word. You got to take a man is only as good as his word.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
BBC Home Service.
So I had to stay an extra day in Brighton, and
Yeah.
the the original hotel that I was staying in, I'd already checked out, and by the time I decided, you know what, I'm not going to get out of Brighton today, I tried to book the original hotel and it was fully sold out. So I had to book another hotel, which was just fucking shit. Yeah,
What was shit about it?
let me just put it out there. I'm going to put them on blast. Okay.
Really?
People of
shouldn't
the
do
world,
that, mate.
people of the world, listen to my close words very closely. Should you ever find yourself in a hotel in Brighton by the seafront called the Royal Albion, keep walking. You're better than that. It's a piece of shit with piece of shit people, and the staff were nice. Oh my god, the lady who checked me in, just an angel. The people in all of the rooms around me, fucking losers, weirdos, and just dickheads.
But hold on, isn't that funfair to the hotel there? They just had bad people booked in. Noisy people booked in.
I don't care. I don't care.
What are you doing?
I'm
You're
putting
going to kill the business here, Liban.
Let it die. If to quote Ivan Drago from Rocky IV, if it dies, it dies. First of all, they put me in a room that was on street level, right next to the main road, and the whole night. This is a Friday evening. The whole night, I had people drunkenly walking past, shouting to get to the nightclub, which is 2 doors down from the hotel, so that I could barely get any sleep, because the whole night people are shouting and excitedly coming out of the club and excitedly going into the club.
Could you hear the club as well?
In the distance, I could hear a slight thump.
Yeah.
A slight thump in baseline. So that's outside. Next door to me, in the middle of the night, this couple starts fighting really loudly, right next door. And they break up. They come out into the hallway. She says to the guy, "Get out. Don't come into my room. I'm fucking done with you." Slams the door on him. And he stands in the hallway shouting into the room for a good, 5-10 minutes. And the whole time he's shouting, Lauren, you can't do this. Lauren! And I can tell by both of their voices, they're between the ages of 19 and 23.
Well, do you know what they broke up about?
Not a clue. Not a clue. I just hear the breakup, and it's just loud and annoying. And somebody else loses their patience before I do. So somebody must have called reception and reported them, because security came and they told the guy to be quiet and to get back inside his room. And then there's a 5-minute argument between Lauren Donovan and the security guy. And in the end, they decide to go in, and he's going to, sleep on the sofa or whatever. And she's going to sleep. And it's meant to be just shut up, let everybody else sleep. 45 minutes or an hour later, when I eventually managed to get back into a semblance of sleep, I hear them shouting again, fucking going at it. Again, she kicks him out of the room, and then he sits in the hallway, and then he's just whining, the whiniest tone you can imagine. And he's going,
What's he saying?
Lauren, I don't want to fight anymore, I just want to sleep. Lauren, I just want to sleep. Let me sleep, please, Lauren. Is the whiniest, whingiest tone you could imagine, and a drunken one as well. I want you to picture the whole time everybody's drunk except for the security guy.
I can vividly picture this, yeah.
Oh, just a nightmare. So,
at no point did you think, Liban, if this is going to be a 50 grand a month podcast, when stuff like that happens, you need to whip out your phone, hit record, and give a commentary on events so we can get some of that ambience, some of that beautiful ambience.
Oh God, I was too tired, man. I'd spent a whole day working, and I just wanted to sleep, and it wasn't happening.
But your previous hotel was wonderful, you said.
Fantastic. I was on the 4th floor, away from the ground level. Can't hear anything from outside. All of the rooms around me are quiet. It's just so peaceful. Can't hear a thing. Perfect bed. I had 3 nights of amazing sleep where I was going to bed at 10:30, waking up at 7:30, just feeling rested and energized and amazing.
What did you get up to in your hotel room? Did you watch TV in your hotel room?
I'll tell you one incident that stands out in that hotel. This was a bit concerning. It wasn't the hotel's fault. This was a bit concerning. One of the nights at 11 o'clock, just as I'm about to go to bed, to sleep. I hear a knock on the door,
Oh.
and I'm not expecting anyone. I haven't ordered any hookers to the room. So, I get up, go to the door, open it up, and what do I see, Johnny? What do you think I see? Give me a couple of guesses.
I have no idea. I have no idea. You've already
Guesses, give me.
discounted the hookers. So I'm out of ideas.
No hookers.
Room service?
Nope.
The concierge?
Nope.
The next door neighbour?
I don't know what the fuck that was. I see a 9-year-old boy. 8, 9,
Fuck.
10, very young boy. Knocks on the door. I open it. I look up, nobody's there. I look down. It's a tiny boy staring up at me. And he says, "Is my nana in there?" Fuck you. I'm shitting myself, man. I'm a grown man in a hotel room with a little boy. And I'm picturing all sorts of cameras seeing a little boy in the hallway. And then I can't... If this boy comes into this room, this is a dangerous situation. So I make sure, first of all, he ain't coming in. I'm holding the door like this.
Is that your first instinct?
Absolutely. First instinct
is
is to be afraid that, people are going to get the wrong idea.
What the fuck?
I am not risking... I'm not risking... Listen, I'm a
Right,
grown man. I'm not
right.
risking... I'm not going up that tree, Johnny. Listen to me. I'm not going up that tree. So
Right.
I'm holding the door like he's a threatening, guy from a biker gang with tattoos.
Kicking him gently.
Like he's gonna...
Kicking him gently with your foot to make sure he doesn't crash the threshold.
And he's at the threshold looking up at me, says, "Is my nana in there?" And I said, "No, your nana isn't in here." And he says, "Where is she?" And I said, "I don't know. Walk around and have a look." And then I closed the door.
Liv.
I closed
Are you
the door.
serious?
I'm not even joking.
I know you're not joking. I know you would do.
I promise you, I closed this door, and then I looked out the peephole to see what was going to happen. And he looked around, and he kept walking, and he went to the room next door and knocked on their door.
And then what?
I don't know. I couldn't hear.
They actually said to him, "No, where did you last see her?" And had she helped the young boy find his nan?
Whatever it was, whatever they did, that's their prerogative. My prerogative is to keep myself safe in a society that, is very judgmental about grown men hanging around children. I'm not taking any risks.
What do you mean? Oh, wait a minute. You care about the safety of children?
Listen, I was topless and in my boxers. My boxers in a hotel room at 11 o'clock with a fucking boy. No, mate, no.
Wait, this was 11 p.m.
11 p.m.
And this kid
I told you just before I was supposed to go into bed.
You could have helped the cunt.
Fuck
Sorry,
that.
I'm swearing. You could have helped the kid.
No, are you mad? What do you want?
At least take him down to the concierge and say, "Look, this kid seems to have lost his nan."
My logic is he's walking around in the hallways. Somebody will help him. That's just not me, though.
That's not. We're living in a society here, Liban.
So it may be, but in a society, sometimes I'm willing to take risks for the community. Sometimes I'm not. This is not one of those instances.
Well, I mean,
If it had been a grown drunk man who needed help, or a grown drunk woman who was a bit
the guy
lost,
who had an argument.
yeah, I might have helped. I might have gone out and been like, "You're in the wrong room, man. Do you remember your room number?" Like, have a little chat. Be like, "No, you go down there." Whatever. This is a no contact situation. This is a situation where I want as little to do with it.
Liban. That's backwards. So you'd help a grown man who got pissed
Absolutely.
and his own fault he got lost.
Absolutely.
With a little 9-year-old kid.
I have empathy for him. I have empathy for the grown man who got drunk and lost. Children. I have no witnesses in the room. Let me reframe the situation. If I was in the room,
mate, you don't
with a
kid's
woman,
just lost his nan. No one's fucking.
Listen to me. I don't give a shit. No, you need witnesses. Otherwise, it's he says, she says. I'm not taking risks, man.
The kid's like you think the 9-year-old kid is trying to entrap you or something. What the fuck?
It's not the kid. It's other people's perceptions.
Oh, well, that's funny.
All right, let me ask you, Johnny. If the little kid comes up to your room and knocks at
Yeah.
11 at night, and you're
11 at night.
it
Yeah.
topless and only wearing your boxers, what are you doing?
Well, first of all, I'd ask the kid, where did you lose her?
So
And I'd
immediately
listen to
you're
the.
asking questions. You're
Yeah,
engaging.
I said, where did you last see your nan? Why did you lose? What the fuck are you looking for your nan for?
And you
Don't you know
see,
where your room is? Don't
as
you know
soon
where
as
your
you
room
do
is?
that, smash cut to 6 months later, you're in prison because you've been mistaken for a paedophile, and you're on the sexual offender registry. Your life is ruined. Your life is ruined. I'm sorry,
That's
but
not
it's
gonna
over.
happen. That's not gonna happen.
Listen, you don't know the climate here, man. The climate is everybody's a pedo.
But you know
Everybody's a
this.
pedophile.
That might be true. I got used to because I tell you one thing. I remember when I first came here. You see fucking like 7-year-old kids on their own in the street, fucking rollerblading, doing all this shit. And I remember when I first came, it's not a shock to me anymore. I'm just used to it. But like I remember like thinking back in London,
Yeah, but
you
that's
saw
what's
kids
normal.
that
What you're
young
seeing
just
is
hang.
normal,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
the thing in London and the UK
No,
in
I remember.
general
I
is
know. I
abnormal,
know.
and it's
My,
heightened. It's
yeah,
like see, grown men with their own children going into playgrounds. Even that looks suspicious, and people keep an
that's
eye on them
sad,
just to
man.
make
That's
sure.
sad, though, isn't
It
it?
is sad, but this is the state of the UK. They've got like
Fuck the UK.
I'm just saying. So you can't. You can try to judge me, but you're judging me incorrectly.
I think even in that climate though, I would like. I mean, I'd be concerned for the fucking kid. I mean, if a kid was lost in a supermarket and came up to you and said, "Have you seen my man?"
Where are the
Wouldn't
people who
you?
work in the supermarket?
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
I'd
at the
be
very
like,
least, you take.
I'd be like, yo, there's a kid here, get him away from me.
But yeah, you could have done that in a hotel. Technically,
No,
take it down to
because I'm
concierge.
topless in my boxers and I'm on the fourth floor, and I'm not gonna grab this kid's hand and go down to reception with him. Come on now, let's be sensible.
It's fine. It's fine because he put the next room down probably would do that.
Well, let them, okay? If only there was a witness, Johnny, I could have done the right thing. If I had a woman in the room with me who could vouch for my character and be there and join me, exactly, that's the key. If they could join me and take the kid to the reception
Yeah.
or talk to him, that's one thing. But a grown single man in a hotel room with a
Yeah.
little boy, come
So
on now.
what did you say to her about? What was your last words to the young lad?
Let me genuinely let me try to remember. He said, "Is my nan in there?" I said, "No." He said, "Where is she?" I said, "I don't know. Have a look around."
That's oh my god! But you're definitely not getting any messages from women who are going to ask her to take that. So that's you've solved that problem at least.
I'm sorry, women of the world. I know you are very excited about the potential of romance with me and with building a life together and having fun times. But unfortunately, I am the kind of person who does what I just described. So if you want someone like Johnny who lives in a more idealistic world where
I would have done it.
where he would help the child and he would grab it by the hand and lead it around until the grandmother is found, then I suggest you try to email Johnny and break up his long-term relationship. You know what they say, just because there's a goalkeeper doesn't mean you can't score. So I welcome you. I welcome you to email him and try it on. Send him a picture because he's very visually minded. Make sure you're dressed well because he cares about fashion. Just take your shot. Take your shot. Make it happen.
Take a shot. All I'm going to do is use your pictures to make my girlfriend jealous. Keep her on her toes. That's all that's all that's going to happen. Yeah. Should we call it there then, Liban?
I'm happy to call it there. I think we got some good stuff.